Well, the weather is not quite as splendid as it looked in that short clip there, but it is improving. Woodsy, this morning we had quite a bit of cloud and fog covering this, but it looks like it's clearing now.
Yeah, quite typical around here. Of course, the cloud coming in the morning, but it's lifting, and that's something that you've just got to be ready for in the mountains. Really, it's not a surprise, but it's a pain in the neck when you're trying to get out there and compete. But it does look like it's clearing on the TV. We're staring out the window now, and sun's shining down. Promises to be a good day.
Yeah, it's looking very, very tasty. This is the course. It's known as the Wells Pipe, named after the dynasty of incredible pipe riders that are the Wells brothers. Jossie, who's invitational, happens in a couple of weeks' time. We've got Bo James, Byron, and then Jackson. 165 metres long, 4.5 metres deep. It's actually a little bit deeper than that, I think. The gradient of the slope it sits on is 90 degrees. And interestingly, it's cut. And a lot of people wouldn't get this. It doesn't go quite vertical. It cuts off at 82 degrees. So it's a little bit open, Woodsy.
Interesting. I mean, every pipe in the world and every pipe shaper have their own technique, just the same as every skier and every snowboarder has their own technique. But this pipe is proven time and time again, year after year. It's a very good pipe, like you've seen in your wonderful intro just before. This is a world-class training facility as well as a world-class competitive arena. So this proves to be good.
Okay, we've got the judges coming up now. We can see who's in there. Victoria Beattie is judge number 2. Bulk is judge number 1. Steele Spence is our head judge today. He'll be keeping an eye on everyone else. 5 judges. They'll be judging out of 100. It's 2 runs. Best run will count. And the highest and lowest scores will get discarded. And it's what's known as overall impression. So each judge gives a score out of 100 of what they're seeing. The criteria they're looking for: progression, execution, variety, and difficulty. Oh, and of course, what's the hardest trick in the halfpipe, Woodsy?
God, it's getting out of the thing, isn't it? It's amplitude. And a nice one. I love explaining it like this. You said them all, but you're going to say it in the wrong order. It spells out paved. So if you're wondering what's going on at home, progression, amplitude, variety, execution, and difficulty. Paved. That's the way that I always remember it when I'm explaining to everybody. And it goes a long way when you know what the judges are looking for, because this is a big show. There's a lot of fancy stuff going on, so it's good to know what the judges are looking at.
Okay, how much do you change up your run for what the judges want to see, and how much do you go with what you're feeling?
I'd love to say that I am all about what I'm feeling, but of course you have to do some stuff to impress the judges. At the end of the day, it's a World Cup. This is the first World Cup of this season. This is a World Cup caliber judging panel, as well as the athletes, as well as the facilities. So this really is the start of the season. And you have to do what you got to do if you're looking for the win. I mean, of course, you come out, style, overall impression, the way you want to be perceived as a skier is a huge deal. It's a free sport. It's an action sport. But at the end of the day, we've got competitions to qualify for. We got points that we need to do, and we've got podiums that need to be achieved.
Okay, there's a lot of chat, isn't there, that people who keep their foot on the gas after an Olympic season are the ones who do well in the next Olympic cycle. So everyone who's been really pushing hard in this Southern Hemisphere season is probably going to be one of the names on everyone's lips going into Beijing in 2022.
I mean, it is such a progressive sport that all the time you're getting new names coming up. It's young kids. I mean, look at this start list. I'm flicking through this start list, and there's more names with date of births in the 2000s, and that is so mind-bending. But yes, you're right. I mean, who's got the motivation? Of course, you need a little bit of time off. You need to have the down times to have the up times. But this year, the year after the Olympics, we're starting things off again. It's the year before the qualifications. This is where you'll see those up-and-comers really starting to get into their own. So it's always exciting times in this circuit.
Well, you mentioned her name in the pre-show, Rachel Anderson, the young Canadian. She's definitely one to look out for because she's been training under Cassie Sharp, the Olympic gold medalist from 2018.
Exactly, and that Canadian pipe team is famous. Sorry, infamous has got the negative connotation. I'm going to say infamous because it's more fun.
If you're not from Canada, they're infamous.
Yeah, exactly. If you're maybe on the French pipe team, which is probably the bigger like nation, you know, next to Canada. Infamous is definitely the word, because those guys go hard. Rachel Anderson, young gun. Cassie, obviously in the limelight all the time, winning everything. You couldn't really think of a better environment to be practicing your game in, really, could you?
Oh, well, I've spoken to a couple of Olympic gold medalists in different sports, but over the years, and seen how they develop their talents. And there's an interesting one with a guy, Joe Clark, in kayaking, who said there was a guy ahead of me who I saw, he was the same age as me, and I just had him as my target. And he said, this kid, I still see him. And I'm the Olympic gold medalist now. He still competes at regionals. But he said, by the time I saw you coming, Joe, you were already progressing too quick for me to get you. So here's the start list. Sari Suzuki of Japan will kick us off. Then it's Valeria Demidova, second place in the ANC competition in this halfpipe 2 weeks ago. Sabrina Kakmakli, Yang Yujin of Korea, Slavna Muntian of Russia, Zhang Ziyi, Zhang Kexin, Li Fanghui, three of those young Chinese groms alongside Liu Mengting. But their talisman at the moment, and the woman who's cleaned up everything at the Winter Games in free skiing so far, is Eileen Gu. Remember that name. She's just claimed Chinese citizenship back at the start of June, and she's now competing for them, just 16 years old, and she is very, very good, isn't she, Woodsy?
Absolutely, certainly one of the ones to watch. But then, just as we were saying, this is the breakout year. This is the time to keep your eye on everybody and not let anybody slip the net.
Okay, first skier in the box is Sari Suzuki of Japan, 29 years old, seasoned competitor. Got a sixth in the Team World Cup in 2018, end of the season before, but she hasn't done an awful lot in competition. It looks like she's just been resting since that 14th place in Korea. Maybe she's kick-starting her campaign here in New Zealand.
And as we said earlier on, it's always interesting to see what sort of tactics everybody's going to go for. This year, the World Cup season, it's a big competition. There's a lot going on. So we're about to find out just how she wants to kick this season off.
Okay, skips into the pipe, first hit.
Safety grab to start things off. She's easing her way in. We know she's got some big tricks. Japan on the second hit. Carrying the speed. 360 down the pipe. Landing switch. Switch. Down the pipe. 360. That's the hardest way to spin in the pipe as far as skiers are concerned. Air to fakie. Still a little bit of flat light, so don't know if she's just taking it mellow for that. Switch down the pipe 5 to finish it off. A lot of switch in that run.
Super technical, perfect execution, but missing that magic ingredient that you name-checked at the start, amplitude.
Amplitude, exactly. And these are the things that the judges are ticking off. They don't always necessarily weigh them the same, you know, each of those bullet points. Overall impression is the key ingredient, but that's a fantastic way to start things off. It's 2 runs, best one counts. She's got some points on the board, definitely.
I was talking to Dion Newport, the free skiing and free ride world tour judge, the other day, and he made an interesting comment. He was talking about free riding, but the same thing stands for halfpipe. He was saying the tempo of the run is the best description of overall impression. How does it feel? You can't start off at 160 beats per minute and finish at 80. Like, that's just fading away. You need something that starts at 120 and maybe pushes to 135. Oh, we're on Dave today. No progression, but we've got difficulty, amplitude, variety, execution. The amplitude you can see down at 6 o'clock. So a 70.4 first run score out, but Sari Suzuki, maybe a very strong strategic move there, just landing a solid run to get a score on the board and give her a platform. Next in, Valeria Demidova of Russia. So very, very strong 2 weeks ago in the Australian-New Zealand Continental Cup here, second place. Let's see if she can build on that confidence.
She's definitely been one of the names to look for as she's been up and coming. That was an awesome way to start things out. Ali 180 seatbelt Japan into a left side flare. You can see the trick she's doing. The technical difficulty is, you know, she's going hard. There's a right 540 into a left side 720. Switch up the pipe 3, back to switch. Alley-oop, right side 5. That's a really good run as far as the technical difficulty is concerned, coming out the gate with a bang.
And plenty of daylight between her and the coping.
Yeah, which is a massive deal. Look at that. That's a really technical grab, made famous in recent seasons by Alex Hall. He's doing that all over the place. And then she just makes her way down this pipe, spinning left, right, flipping, going upside down, as well as a nice cork 7 there. That's a really standout trick in that run.
Well, you called it. You want the judges to sit up and pay attention if you're going to put some tricks in, and she's done that with her first hit. Okay, 83, big lump of score there for everyone to chew on. First run, and Valerie Demidova puts a very strong score on the board after just 2 skiers. Sabrina Kak-Mackley, the German, up at the top, now has something to chase. Let's see what she's got here.
Sabrina Kak-Mackley, you know, she's pretty seasoned in this game. She has, you know, been around the world. She's done a lot of the big competitions. She does have that competitive mindset. Starting things off, switch. I love dropping in the pipe now. That switch is so cool. Switch down that. Oh, goodness me, getting caught up in the transition there.
She actually managed to save that, though. It could have been a lot worse, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not until you see someone go down in the half pipe that you actually see how ginormous it is. So she's taken off, switch down the pipe, the hardest direction on a very icy wall, landing a little bit forwards, and obviously not being able to hold on to that. But that transition, there's a lot of G-forces going through there.
And the light is not as clear as they'd like. So 6.2 for Sabrina Kak-Mackley. Agonisingly missed out on the finals in the half-pipe in Korea in 2018. Oh, no, 2014, she was in Sochi. Okay, back up at the top, and it's Yang Yujin of Korea. Just at 18 years old, got 11th at the World Champs in the half-pipe in Park City back in February.
You'll see how the Korean team has been progressing so much, and under the careful guidance of Pete Olenek, who's one of the best free skiers in the pipe of all time ever. Starting things off with a left side 540 mute, down the pipe, right side 3, switch. It's amazing to see how the girls are getting so comfortable switching a half pipe. The hardest thing you can do, really. Right side 540, spinning both ways. A nice left side 7 to finish things off.
Landed a little bit low in the transition, but that was made up for with decent amount of amplitude.
Yeah, she went pretty big. I'd say, oh, well, here we go on the replays. It's a nice left side 540 mute, solid as you like. And there's setting it up for the switch. That's just a 360, but taking it switch is a big deal. This is the last hit. That's the 7. That's why you said she went a little deep. Potentially, she could have squeaked in another hit there. You noticed she went deep, Ed, right? So maybe that meant that she couldn't get that next hit in. I'd expect that to be reflected in the scores, if I'm honest.
Okay, well, she's got the fun meter on her bib there. Let's see if that scores.
I didn't notice that.
See if the fun meter is reflected in her score. She definitely looked like she was having some fun. 76.8. We have got some really big scores on the board. 4 skiers down. 3 of them have put scores in, and they're all in the 70s or higher. So Valerie Demidova, the Russian, leading on an 83. Next in is Slavna Muntian, the Russian.
No, I'm not sure I've heard this name before, and it's great when that's the case, because, you know, it can often be, you know, these guys, one of their first opportunities to compete at the world stage, and seeing what they do with that is a massive deal. You know, this is where you get familiar with the names.
Exactly. It's her first ever World Cup now. She got a decent result. I think it was 8th at the ANC 2 weekends ago in this same pipe.
So she's familiar with it. An alley-oop, 180 mute grab to start things off. Back-to-back 5s. A little uncomfortable with the right side 1, but she's still going. So right now she's done the same tricks left and right. Right side 360.
Tiny bit early on the right side 3.
Ever so slightly, but a nice switch down the pipe to finish things off.
Well, it's got the nerves out, I think, is the good bit for her. She's got a smile on her face now, so she can hopefully settle down and start to really send this run a little bit bigger.
And I don't mean to question your fact sheet, but this is her first World Cup.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. I'm so glad you said that, because I said I wasn't familiar with the name. But that's a brilliant way to start things off. I mean, you know, to get a run down, to get some points on the board, that makes you feel fantastic. And we can see her unload in the second run because she's got nothing to lose.
Exactly. Okay. Slavna Muntian waiting for her score to come in. So 58.6. I think that's pretty fair. Appraisal. She doesn't look too stoked on that. But you've got some work to do, Araslavna. Okay, next in, Zhang Kexin of China, just 17 years old. Got a 26th here last week, so missed out a little bit.
Oh, big push from the Chinese contingent. The teams, they've been working so hard to, you know, get to the tip of that spear with their team. They've got a lot of competitors working really, really hard. Of course, surely with the Beijing goal in mind. That's
100%.
a big straight out to start things off with a critical grab up top. That's the name of the grab, although grabs are pretty critical in this score. Back to, 540 to 7. Switching that transition, not quite holding it. Unfortunately. However, throwing in a 7 up top, landing switch in the middle of the run, that is an aggressive move. It's a very exciting thing. That's something the judges will take note of if she can lay it out clean in the second run.
I always think that sound is one of the most important factors when you're watching halfpipe, because you can hear when someone lands nice and light at the top of the transition, or you hear the thud like that when they land hard at the bottom of the transition.
And these guys are playing with millimeters. I mean, it's a game of centimeters. It really, really is, between landing at the top of that 22-foot halfpipe and bouncing in, and another 22 feet, or falling all that way to the bottom, and it's ice.
So 40 points. You've called it exactly. 10 centimeters of horizontal difference mean 2 meters of vertical difference in your drop.
At least, really. It's a wild game, this halfpipe.
Okay. Now, got. Oh, that was Zhang Ziyi. I do apologise. Now it's Kexin Zhang.
Starting things off with a massive right side 7. Beautiful. She caught that landing perfectly, switched into the switch 5, backing it up, switch 3, tickling a mute grab, but continuing spinning left and right, something the judges will take massive note of. There's a straight air to set herself up for a big 540, and that'll finish off that run. Really aggressive. I like that.
Straight air in the middle of the run. I'm pulling holes now. I'm being the devil's avocado. But you've got to be. You've got to. I mean, that was incredible. And she absorbed the landing.
I mean, my personal preference, let's start things off with a bang. Let's finish it with a bang. And if you need a straight air somewhere in that run, a couple of mellow hits, put it in the middle and bring the tempo up just like you were saying.
Interestingly, 5 hits as well, unlike the 4 that we saw previously from Araslavna Muntian. So a full quota of hits and some very technical openers and a great finish. Could be a strong score. I think that straight air might cost her against Valeria Demidova, who holds the top spot at the moment with an 83. But podium spots are third and up, and they're going for 70.4.
But I love that 540 in the middle, like going very, very high, getting the grab. It's she's an aggressive pipe skier, and I dig that a lot. Score coming in. Boom, and reflected in the score with an 80 flat. That's fantastic. And honestly, looking at that run, she's got more to offer. She really can put more into that run. I'm not being mean or nothing, because she's got a great score as it is. She's sitting in second.
Yep. Second place on a flat 80. Very, very strong. We've got 21 competitors in the field today and just 8 spots in the final. So it is going to get very, very competitive for those top 8 spots. Next in, Li Fanqui, just 16 years old. Got 4th last week though, so she knows this pipe.
Landing really, really high on that transition. That means she's got speed shown there in the back-to-back 5s, keeping the amplitude up better than anyone we've seen yet. There's a nice right side 7, switch left side, down the pipe 5, switch right side 5. As far as amplitude's concerned, that's the best run we've seen yet. Potentially not technical difficulty, but boom.
The skier's left-hand side of the pipe, this side of the pipe, she's measuring that transition perfectly. She's meeting every trick at the top of the wall, and that's what's generating her speed.
That means she can carry the speed all the way down the pipe. It's flawless. Look, that's brilliant. Not a sound. That was the key indicator that you were on about it.
Yeah, very, very tidy run. Judges looking for execution in that run will feel like they've been treated. A little glazed cherry on top.
And really, I mean, she's 16 years old, and that was a very smooth, very well-calculated pipe run. That bodes very well for the future.
Well, you talked about it. Peter Olenek, the pipe skiing legend. Oh, sorry, he's for career,
He's working
is it?
for career, isn't he?
Oh, who's on the... It's Brad, isn't it?
Brad, exactly. It's Brad Prosser, and I heard rumour that Byron's been helping them out as well.
Ah. Well, there's no shortage of people, and we're seeing that. There's TJ Schiller, isn't there, is in there coaching as well. All of that first generation or second generation of incredible pipe skiers are now helming teams and help build exactly these kind of runs. Really, really strong, well-based runs. They've got great technique, and you can imagine what this run's going to look like as she builds this up.
In a year or so. Yeah.
I was going to say 5 years, but yeah, probably in 2 years.
That's what the or so meant, yeah. But exactly, it's that technical and that technique in the half pipe especially, more than the slopestyle, to be honest. Oh, goodness.
Look at that, 86.2. The technique and the execution have been rewarded there alongside the amplitude. You said maybe the difficulty wasn't quite there, but she can add it up. Oh, you saw the look on her face as she realised then. Very excited. Li Fanqui moves it into first place, just ahead of Valerie Demidova. A lot of pressure starting to build at the top of the standings now. This is going to be a really, really good qualifiers. Svea Irving, sister of Burke Irving, one of the legends in men's pipe skiing. There'll be a bit of pressure for her to build the same kind of reputation, I imagine.
Yeah, she's got some boots to fill, that's absolutely right. And one of only 2 girls competing for the USA right now, so it's good to have these guys down here.
Had a banger of a first season in the big leagues. Made finals at her first World Cup.
What a way to start it off with a big left side 900. A small right side 3 into a switch down the pipe 3, but she's building that amplitude back up with a nice flare and a left side down the pipe 7. Now, a fantastic way to start that off. A little bit lacking in amplitude, but she brought it back up.
She did get there. I think there might have been a bobble on the landing here.
Yeah, it's certainly missing the grab, but getting the rotation round. I just think she landed a little bit lower than expected, so second hit had a little bit of something to be desired. Seeing what the judges have done already, with first place, Lee's in first place right now, she had a perfectly executed run. It wasn't the technical difficulty, so the judges right now might be sending a message to the field. Is it technical difficulty, or is it going to be flawless skiing that's going to take the day? Well,
especially when you're using your biggest trick on the first hit, the riskiest position to use your most technical hit. They have to reward that, but they are going to be sucking the wind out of their score for the second and third hits, where she was having to rebuild her speed.
And it is so difficult to know what the judges are thinking because, I mean, they get a numeric value that they can throw on it in the score, but it really doesn't mean anything compared to where you're sitting in the ranking. So, and they only get that message. They don't have a microphone. They don't get to voice their reasonings. They might have seen something tiny that we didn't see.
Okay, 73.8. That seems fair in terms of the technicality. I do wonder, with the pedigree we've got in this field, if they might have gone a little bit high on these scores. We could see some bunching up into the 90s. 9 skiers in of 21 on the first runs. First runs in qualifiers, everyone is going to lay down their stock run, an 80% run, if you like, maybe even 75. Wu Meng of China in next. She was the youngest competitor at the Pyeongchang Olympics in 2018. So she got plenty of experience under her belt, despite being just 16 years old.
A very nice 540, back-to-back 540s to start this run off. Sporting the gear of the Chinese team. Nice 720 and landing very smoothly. Switch down the pipe 3, losing amplitude, understandable with the switch hit, building it back up with alley-oop 180. Alley-oop 3, is she going to get another switch hit in? No, finishing off switch, another statement.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, the back-to-back 540s they're kind of the most stock standard linked tricks that you learn in the half pipe, aren't they? So this is pipe by numbers on the first 2 hits.
It is a little bit, because variety and showing that you can spin left, right, switch left and right, and then when you're throwing in, you know, some completely inverted maneuvers, some corks, all this variation is a massive deal that impacts the overall impression a lot and proves how good you are in the half pipe. Okay,
so judges, I see this one where they've gone already. This has got to be somewhere around mid-70s. They're going to take their time on this one, I think, because they're starting to build that congestion now in the middle of the field. The old classic is that if you land a good, steady stock run, then you're probably going to pull in around 75 points. And at the moment, we've got a lot of congestion between 70.4 and 80. So 70 and 80 there. We've got already 4 athletes there. 64.6. So Wu Meng maybe the victim of a little bit of harsh judging there, but I think the judge is trying to find a little bit of space here and build out the field. So Meng goes into 7th place. Still in the qualifying spots at the moment, but 11 skiers still to drop. Abby Harrigan of Australia, you can see there the bubble score, 58.6. I expect to see that in the mid to high 70s though by the end of the second run.
Absolutely, we've got a massively high caliber of competitor. Abby going huge on the first hit, Japan grab, maintaining that amplitude. That's a good statement. Let's hope she can put in the tricks further down the run. Left side 540, nice. Alley-oop 180.
Popped out a little bit.
Alley-oop 180. So she's given the amplitude up top, knowing that she's going to do these tricks lower, you know, down the pipe. It's a great technical, a strategy technique to do, because she has ticks and boxes. Look at that first hit. That's well over 6 feet to start things off, and the second hit as well. Potentially, you know, one of Abby's first major league competitions as well. So it's great to see these new names, these new faces getting this experience, because it really is the next few years when these guys are going to start shining.
Okay, Abby Harrigan interestingly made 6 hits out of that run, but if you make 6, generally it's at the expense of amplitude or height out of the pipe, and the judges will reward amplitude, because if they didn't reward amplitude more, then you'd have someone trying to get 20 hits out of the pipe. And trying to make that work. So 52.8, I think the amplitude really punishing Abby Harrigan's score there, but she's got plenty of work she can do in the second run here. Now, Anya Barrow of New Zealand. Wanaka local, grew up in Cambridge though, on the North Island. Let's see what she's got here.
You got to really hope she pushes through to the finals, because the Kiwi, the way they back the New Zealanders, it's brilliant. I would love to see the crowd down the bottom going wild for a Kiwi.
Well, they've had plenty of success at these winter games.
Freeski. I thought, not the way you want to come through that transition sideways, but she looks completely fine. Again, take this opportunity to see how huge the half pipe is. It's sheer ice basically out there, and it's 22 feet. That's basically the size of your house that these guys have to go up to the a nice hand drag on the bottom hit.
That was beautiful, and it's worth noting, just taking a quick, we're watching the screens in the commentary box here, but you take a quick glimpse out of the window and the visibility has died off again. We've had a lovely clear sunny patch, and Anya's run has been blighted with a bit of cloud blowing through there. So disappointment for Anya Barrow. She will have her second run to make it count. It's her second World Cup, so she's got a little bit of experience at this level, but still very much finding her feet in the World Cups. Now we move on to bib number 21, Nanaho Kiriyama of Japan.
Conditions are just something you have to work with once the call has been made. everyone's in it together. You know, the conditions are going to be what they're going to be, and it's time to throw down unless it gets outrageous. It's not outrageous right now, but it is getting a little bit tough to see. So we might see that amplitude coming down a little bit to remain safe and landing runs. 542 and 360. Switch down the pipe 3. Pushing, not getting the amplitude, but it's a nice 540. She's going to squeak in one more hit with a right side 360. Ticking off a lot of directions, but that's not the amplitude we need. We need to be at least out of this lip to be getting into these final caliber runs.
Yeah, very similar to Abby Harrigan, the Australians run, and that was on a 52.8. So interesting to see where this one pulls in. Interestingly, with Nanaho Kiriyama, she burst onto the scene back in, I think it was 2012, and she won the Val Malenko Junior World Championships in slopestyle. She's won and
in slopestyle.
Yeah, and then she'd come, I think, 3rd or 4th in the Youth Winter Olympic Games in 2011, but just has struggled to find her feet at the highest level. Oh, a little bit over the front, but she survived that pretty well.
And this is Rachel Anderson from Canada. Oh, goodness, going down in that transition. A bang, she's starting off that run, going big. Now, she's certainly one to watch in this competition because this is a girl been training alongside and underneath Cassie Sharp. So it's going to be really good to see where she goes. And with Cassie out of the competition right now, she's kind of got those boots to fill.
Well, you had a chat with Cassie this morning, didn't you?
Yeah, she went down in practice for this event. So won't be competing, but she's somebody with nothing to prove. You know, we've got a lot of young guns here with a lot to prove, you know, trying to come out of the gate swinging into this next Olympic cycle. Rachel, unfortunately, going down the alley-oop 3, but she can do this. She can get back on the wagon and get it.
I liked what I saw at the top of her run then. That looked really
fantastic.
powerful.
Landing very high in the transition, and that is just a sign of a quality pipe skier.
Okay. Another one of the Canadians. Canada emerging as one of the major superpowers in half-pipe freeski in recent years. Amy Fraser, part of the Next Gen program that Canada used to develop and blood their young talent.
Absolutely a powerhouse. Canada is, well, not just as far as the pipe's concerned, but they do dominate the half-pipe. So these guys got a lot of pressure on their back just to get these starts in the competitions. And there we go, starting off with a big left side flare. First hit, that's a bang. Alley-oop, Widey Japan. Left side 540, she's ticking off the tricks. She's obviously got that full inverted maneuver on the first hit. So that's something to add to her score. Right side 5 into a left side 3. The switch hit, ticking off everything on the list. Very smooth, very calm. Lacking for a grab, but technically executed pretty much perfect.
And she's done, I imagine, exactly what she and her coach set out to do. She's got a good, decent first hit there, and then the rest is well within herself. She looks very relaxed skiing this, which makes me think this is just a stock run to put a score on the board.
Absolutely.
Really?
Really, yes, absolutely, really. She landed the first run, and when you do put down a first run, it just changes the game as far as feeling is concerned when you're dropping in and preparing for run number 2. There's nothing more scary than having it all to do on one run.
Well, you can see how relaxed she is there. She's just...
Are we hearing her music? Is it that loud? Or are we hearing the music at the bottom of the pipe?
Yeah, I think she might have... there'd definitely be some hearing damage if we could hear her music.
8th place right now. It is.
So, at the moment, scores 86.2 is the leading score for Li Fan Kui. 21 women dropping. 8th is the cut-off spot, and at the moment it's a 58.6. But we've got a lot of very decent scores from, it jumps from 58 to 70 in 6th position. And I expect to see those scores all ratcheting up. We've still got some of our big names left to drop. Eileen Gu, Daria Tatalina, Louis Mengting, another one of those young super grom Chinese skiers coming in. Riley Jacobs, one of the young Americans coming in. So
I really pushed. I was all nervous. I was just like,
I'm not in... I'm loving hearing what she's saying.
Maybe?
Yeah.
okay.
Light's not great, but
57.2, and you heard her say there that the visibility is dropping off. So 1 point away from the qualifying spots. Oh, she got a high mummer in just before she went. Good on her. Okay, third of our Russian athletes, Daria Tatalina. Just 15 years old. It's her first World Cup. Done a handful of national level comps. So Russian team very much using the Southern Hemisphere as a proving ground for the Freeski pipe team. You can see that visibility's dropped right off. The blue line still helping a little bit, but...
And it is very difficult to ski. I mean, if you've ever been on the mountain, you know what flat light conditions are like. It's very disorientating. So, you know, imagine being up in a pipe. Oh, that's unfortunate for Tatalina, really. You can't really knock her for it. The conditions are coming in. It's the top of the pipe there that, I mean, it's almost going out of our vision. Oi, oi, oi. I mean, that's the game of millimeters, isn't it? On the right side, 3 down the bottom, just clipping the coping. That's the top 90-degree corner of the pipe. And if you clip that, you're going to fall back in, I mean, at least 2 meters.
Well, and the pipe was actually ending there. It's scooping in, isn't it? So you've got to be careful. So 22.2, not the one that Daria Tatalina would have been looking for, but she's got her second run. As we come down, we've had 16 of our 21 drop in now. Back up at the top, it's the woman whose name's been on everyone's lips at the Winter Games here. It is Eileen Gu. Grew up in San Francisco, skiing Squaw Valley in Tahoe. In June, she completed her Chinese citizenship. She describes herself as a Beijing girl, speaks fluent Mandarin, and she has been cleaning up at the Winter Games.
And showing us exactly why, maintaining very high amplitude with those 540s into a 720, back-to-back 5s into a nice cork 7 to the right. There's a switch down the pipe 3, losing a little bit control, but still keeping that amplitude way up in the 5, 6, 7 foot range. Alley-oop to finish things off. It's not the cleanest run we've ever seen her do, absolutely not. But she's proving her caliber. I mean, look at that, miles over the cameraman's head, getting a grab. It's a little bit sloppy from her, but she's that good that we can say that.
Yeah, and we're working by her standards. There's that 7.
She touched down like nothing happened, and she's still in the air on that 7, and she's already switched, standing backwards, reverse, however you're going to call it. It's tough, and she's already staring down the next hit. That's flawless technique, really.
Well, we know she's got a 9 on that first hit. We saw it in the ANC finals, the Continental Cup finals 2 weeks ago, which she won, and she also won the slopestyle last weekend. So it's been a busy couple of weeks for Eileen Gu, but it's paid off. She actually gave herself in the slopestyle. She had a victory lap, and she said, usually I treat any run as potential training. She said, I gave myself a victory lap this time.
That's pretty nice.
She did Cossacks on everything.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty great. So you don't often refer to people as giving themselves a victory lap. Usually it's the judges give you, but I mean, she is in a very, very driving seat. Oh, I missed what she said. I love listening to what people say at the bottom, but she is very much in the driving seat, specifically in the half pipe, and you can see that. That run is well within her limits.
But don't see anything. You just can't, like, you're not allowed.
Very much at the top of this field.
My favorite is on the flat bottom when I'm skiing switch. Also these lenses. Good combo.
Okay.
Massive plug, doing it big.
I think she was saying that she couldn't see anything, though. She'd pulled out the sunny lenses for a sunny day. That was certainly the forecast, was for it to clear here today. Let's see. Look at that, 84.8 with what you described, Woodsy, and this is no detriment to Eileen. She would have said it as well. By her standards, quite a sloppy run. So, second place for Eileen Gu. I imagine she'll be qualifying comfortably with that, but she will want the top spot. That gives you the luxury of dropping last when it comes to finals. Marie Mengting of China, just 15 years old, another one of these super groms that we're seeing being pushed through. She got 14th a couple of weeks ago in this pipe, so she'll be looking to step that up.
Here is the right side 540, start things off. Back-to-back 5s, like you said previously, it is a staple to start off a run. We've seen Eileen do it, but the caliber, the amplitude, getting the grabs, it's essential to prove your caliber of riding. Switch, right side down the pipe, 3. And to finish off, I like she's using the whole pipe. It's only a straight air with a mute grab, but she's using the whole pipe. And that's a big deal. You know, when you see a rider finish the pipe up high and they ski past what could be a potential another hit, it leaves something to be desired in the overall feeling, whereas she used this entire pipe, which is great.
Yeah, there's something maybe arrogant or a little aloof about it, isn't there? Like, I don't need another one.
I don't need another hit. Exactly. And you see it in the boys category, you know, when they're trying to squeeze out every single inch of the halfpipe. I mean, we've seen the likes of Aaron Blanc and Torignetti Waltz landing in a 3-foot halfpipe. You know, they're taking off 22-foot and they're landing right at the bottom just to squeeze out the last inches of the pipe. And you know, that shows caliber to me.
And, yeah, and it shows class, because you want to see someone doing that. It means that much to me. I'm not giving any of this away. Okay, so Li Mengting just listening for a score there. So, good steady run, 56.2. So that puts Li Mengting in 11th place. At the moment, the cut-off score for qualification is 64.2. We've still got 3 skiers left to drop. This one, especially, Riley Jacobs could have something for us. She's part of the young US team. She got a 5th at the Junior World Championships half-pipe in Lacin earlier this year.
Yeah, Riley.
Comes from Oak Creek. She's done 1 World Cup before this. Came 19th, so...
I mean, just getting a start for these competitions from a nation such as the USA is a massive achievement as it is, so she will be here to prove herself. And she's battling against a lot of the top-notch Americans just to be oh goodness, a little bit front seat on that second hit, second 540. Just, if you're not perfectly over your skis when you're coming through the transition like that, it's going to bite you.
And you've got to say, the old adage is that everyone has to deal with the weather, but right now Riley Jacobs is dealing with way more of it than anyone else has had to. The visibility is right down at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that it's coming into a point where potentially the judges can't see the top of the pipe. So there's guys up there on radios that are really wondering whether this is going to be maybe a pause.
Okay, we'll wait and see how it goes. We can have a quick chat with Riley though, see how she felt about that.
Okay, Riley, you have to do a rerun. That weather's closing in pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah. I know, I was watching all the other girls go, and they were like, fine, you could see the bottom of the pipe, and it was kind of weird dropping in for sure.
There we go. I mean, that's exactly what we were saying. Riley, they're having to do that run. She's going to get another go at that run because the judges just simply couldn't see the top. That's the conditions rolling in. We're on the side of a mountain. You've got to remember it's nobody's fault. But that does give Riley a second go on a run she did fall on, so that's good.
Yep. Well, if you can't see the bottom of the pipe from the top, then you will get a rerun. So I doubt we're going to see a score for this run. If she gets a rerun, then they won't score this one.
Well, she's just getting some good face time on the TV. I can't blame her at all.
Yeah.
But
Crank the sponsors.
But it is fantastic that the organisation, everybody involved, they are taking a lot of time and effort and concern over the conditions, because it's fairness at the end of the day. You know, we've been chucking herself off the side of a mountain for a very long time.
Okay, well, we're getting a score in there. If she's been scored, then the run counts. So
interesting.
Yep, that is run 1 of 2 for Riley Jacobs. She get 9 points. So it is all to do. Now, that's the view the judges are having. This is the camera that they use, so they can see clearly up there, which I think means that we'll be back in. So bib number 17, Isabel Hansen from the Netherlands. Nijmegen is her hometown. Split her time between the Alps and the indoor snow domes. If you want to check her out, she's pretty big on social media. Got a second at the Winter Games here back in 2015 at the Continental Cup level before it was a World Cup.
Isabel, she has, you know, been a part of the pipe scene for a very long time. She does know competition. A big knee grab to start things off. Really big alley-oop 180 to Japan. Right side 540, taking off all the directions there with the left side 5, lacking for grab, but she is going big. She's maintaining that amplitude. Right side 360 switch, alley-oop 360 to finish it off. Again, right at the end of the pipe, using the whole terrain that the guys are given here.
Yeah, as you mentioned, maybe a couple of holes in the execution, but the amplitude was there.
Absolutely. I mean, that mute grab on the first hit, great to see her getting well above the coping. That's one of the highest hits we've seen in the day. With the 540s we're seeing here, right side 540 there, she's ticking them off. You know, she's ticking those boxes for the judges. There's nothing they can say as far as spinning both ways, variety. She's doing it.
But the execution, amplitude, she's ticked on the first 3 hits. It's maybe a little low towards the end, but execution missing a couple of grabs. That might not work in her favour.
I do love that first hit though, big mute grab. Mute grab's my favourite. That, as far as I'm concerned, that's the method of skiing.
100%.
You know, you can tweak that for the life of you, and it'll never get old.
I've been really enjoying Japan's, and I'm a big fan of a truck driver. Like, on a snowboard, a truck driver, kind of one hand either side, it doesn't look as good. When you're skiing and you do a proper truck driver, 61.8 puts Isabel Hansen into 9th place. She's only 3 points off the qualifying spots. She needs to improve to 64.6 or above to beat Meng Wu to get into 8th position. But now we come to our last skier, Anna Faulhaber of the USA. Comes out of Carbondale. She got 6th at the Junior World Champs in pipe in lace-in.
Here we go, getting psyched for her run. Weather conditions, it looks all right. It is a little bit milky, but it looks like she's going to have a clear view of the pipe. A nice 540, getting that safety grab into a right side flare. No, that is disappointing. I was getting very excited about that run.
That was
Looks like she's fine.
There was one tiny telltale that made me think that she wasn't that comfortable. She adjusted her goggles in the flat bottom between the first and second hit. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Just reached up, and anytime I see that, you've got to think, oh, they're not happy with what they're seeing.
Yeah, all right, this is the first hit. 540, beautiful.
She comes across straight up.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's a brilliant eye you got there. I did not notice her because, I mean, it didn't set her up well for that, just landing a little bit too front heavy. And that is a 90-degree change. You know, you're vertical going to horizontal. And that's a quick transition. If you're not perfect, it's going to eat you alive. Whatever happened with her goggles there, she got to fix up for the next run.
Yeah.
You got to wonder.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, they look, anytime you can see the eyes, it definitely looks like a low light lens. So it looks like she's got a persimmon orange one, which is a good all-rounder. But 10.8, it's all on the second run for Hannah Faulhaber out of Carbondale. Skis in Aspen, actually, so she's got that super pipe on her doorstep there, the one they use for X Games. But you can see visibility's come in again there. But these are the standings after the first runs. Li Fanghui, the young Chinese, up on top of the pile, followed closely by Eileen Gu with what we thought was a pretty ragged run by her standards. Valerie Demidova in 3rd, and then another couple of Chinese in there, along with the Koreans, the Americans, and the Japanese. We've got Isabel Hansen just outside the top 3. Rachel Anderson, probably the big name that stands out in the bottom half of the draw there in 17th, who could really be stepping things up and gain her place, as could Sabrina Cat-Mackley, actually. There's a couple of skiers there who could really push things up, and at the moment, the bubble score is 64.6. Anyone gets into the 70s, if anyone beats that score, then it starts coming up, and the score is going to rise exponentially. You only need 2 people to get in there, and that score will jump up to 73.8. So a lot of pressure on the women to get through here, but you can see we've got a giant fog stain in the middle of the camera. No, we haven't. That is actually a lump of cloud. The detailed 24-hour forecast, though, is giving us decent bit of clearing skies through the day, so we hope to see this disappear pretty quickly. The pipe sits just on the back of the Soho Basin Ridge, which goes down into the Wakatipu Basin, which is where Queenstown is, and the weather moves through there very, very quickly, so this could clear at any moment, so I'm not too concerned about this.
Touchdown car rentals.
So,
Skyline Lee.
couple of the big hits. This is Lee Fanghui, bib number 3.
This is currently the first run spot. She's got a very nice 540 getting the grab there. It's great to see the amplitude. You know, you can see what the guys, the girls, excuse me, are doing. And it's all about bringing those aspects together. The technical difficulty, the execution, and the amplitude. I mean, it's all going on.
The speed she carried from that 7, switch through the flat bottom into the switch 3 was lovely.
And we spoke about this run as a key indication of what the judges are looking for today. And it does credit to the girls' competition in the halfpipe, because now they know these girls, they're good enough. They're really good. They're good enough to have that technical ability. They're getting high amplitude and they're linking the tricks together. It's a bit of a statement from the judges putting Lee above Eileen, because Eileen obviously had the big tricks in her run. She's got the style, she's got the flow. But Lee, who's currently sitting in first place with a full 2 points more than Eileen, she had the flow. You know, she was perfectly executed. She held it back a little bit on the execution, but landed it perfectly. And that says it all.
Okay, I'm looking at the detailed forecast here, and it was light snow at 9 a.m., but in the 3 hours up to 12, midday, it looks like it's supposed to clear out a little bit. So we are waiting on this window. We just need a little less cloud. We started in slightly overcast conditions this morning, which is fine, but at the moment it's very overcast. So as you can see, that big block of cloud just wedged into the halfpipe there. It means that you can barely see the opposite wall, let alone the judges being able to see the first 2 hits, because that camera view that we had looking up the pipe is what the judges are using to score these runs. So you've been in this situation a million times, Woodsy. What do you do when you get a course hold and your body starts cooling down?
It's a very, very good point, because it's not just your mind that's cooling down. It's not just the concentration. It's physically cold out there. You know, there's a cloud coming on the side of a mountain covered around snow. It is cold. You know, you're trying to stay warm. You're trying to stay focused. You're trying to stay relaxed if you haven't landed your first run, because you've got it all to play for, 1 run left. If you've landed your first run, you're trying to keep yourself up, you know, because it's very easy to let yourself relax too much. And you think, oh, you know, I've done a great first run, I'm going to qualify. But when you've got so many, we've got a lot of false scores on that first run. So there's a lot of people that can do some damage to the people that are sitting in the final spots already. So if you've landed your first run, you've got to be ready to lay it down better in run 2. If you haven't landed your first run, you're trying to contain all those nerves and do it 1 run out of 1.
What I hadn't realised is that actually a lot of people coming. Oh, Sari Suzuki strapping in there. We've still got the course hold graphic, but it looks like she's warming up. And certainly we just got a glimpse of some sunshine flickering across the valley next to us.
It's horrible to be first up when there's a hold. Like, even if you're second up after a hold, you can relax and wait to see what the first person's going to do. It doesn't necessarily mean between the 2 runs. Could just be a hold in the middle of the competition for whatever reason. It's horrible to be in that situation. So I do hope she can hold it down despite this. But you know, you got the boys on the radios. They're in your ear. The stars. They're saying, oh, it's 5 minutes. Oh no, it's going to be 10 minutes. Oh, it's going to be 5 minutes. It throws you off your game, and that is what being a competitor is all about. You know, you've got to deal with all these things being thrown at you.
I was going to say that they actually train. I've spoken to a few of the New Zealand athletes up here, and they'll purposely they'll do a run through the park, but then they'll go and do a lap of captains and come back and get people in the rhythm of, and then they say, right, now go and do the park and do your best run, because it gets you in the rhythm of doing some light exercise in between 2 banging ones. So in your head, you're like, switch on, switch off, switch on, switch off. And you get used to not living in that adrenalized state for the whole hour of the contest, but tapping into it when you need it.
And that's got to be a huge skill. I mean, that's a huge eye-opener for me. I'm still learning the tricks of the trade, of this new trade. You know, we come from an era, it's very much no longer that relaxed, chilled, completely non-competitive environment anymore. You only have to take one look at the top of the course. You can see all the coaches, the waxers, the physios, the doctors, the people that are just there to film, so make sure you got all of your runs, like, you know, you can see what you've done right and wrong. It's a very different game to the way we started it. Not saying that I started the game, but that when we entered the game, it was a very different environment. And to hear tactics like you're saying is pretty mind-bending for me, because
It's the professionalisation of the sport, because
that's what I was trying to say in a
yeah,
short.
but you're dead right. If you go back 20 years, there were beers in the start gates. Like,
Absolutely.
Now it's like isotonic drinks that'll rehydrate you and the right kind of nutrition. Saori Suzuki, now, score to beat is an 86.2, but she's actually sat on a 70.4. So she's in the qualifying spots at the moment, but as James Woods, who's sat next to me, aka Woodsy, and I have discussed already, there is a lot of pedigree underneath her waiting to get into the top 8. So she needs a better run to secure a position in the finals.
Starting it off well with a nice straight safety grab. Going big on these first 2 hits. There's the Japan grab. Left side at 3. She's not going to be relaxing. Sitting in 7th place when 8 people go through to the final. First run of everybody getting another run. It's not a relaxing place to be. Air fakie, switching to this last hit. Down the pipe. 5. I like that. Nice tweak in the safety.
Yeah, big trick to finish. He's left the judges with something to think about. It was definitely a sort of average sandwich with fantastic bread. The middle of that run was very, very steady, but start and finish, the judges will have been noticing that. And she might have taken, I can't remember her first run score, but it was a 70.4. She dropped first, and I think it was that really solid execution and steady amplitude that's got her through.
Yeah, that was certainly the highlight from run 1, was she was steady, she was smooth, she had a good technique. Now, how that's going to compare with this one, not quite of the same caliber, but when she dropped earlier, she had perfect conditions.
Exactly. Very, very telling. Good point. Okay, so Saori Suzuki, a nervous wait, sat in 7th position as 20 skiers come down and try to steal that shot at the finals. Valeria Demidova of Russia, currently sat in 3rd position on an 83. You'd have to speculate she's safe at the moment, but she's not skiing like she is. She's powering into that first hit.
Brilliant alley-oop 180 with that lead seatbelt Japan. I love it. Into the flare. She's ticking a lot of boxes here, and she's doing it very stylish. Oh, a big 7. That was far better than run 1. Reaching down for the mute with the cross skis right in front. Alley-oop 360 coming in, switch, winding it up. Oh my goodness. Now, I do not care. She doesn't care. The conditions are far worse on run 2 than she had on run 1, but that run was infinitely better than the first.
Aggressive and confident, top to bottom. This could be a big score.
Yeah, I'm looking for some action here. This was fantastic. That was a really, really awesome first hit, and then she just kept stepping it up.
Very, very smooth. As you said, in difficult light, she's landing technical tricks at the top. Let's hear from Valeria.
Okay, which do you think was the better of your 2 runs?
It was not bad, but weather is so bad today. But tomorrow will be finals, and weather will be more better. I hope will be sun, and I hope tomorrow will be more greatest. And it's amazing skiing from girls. It's really good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, she's got her eyes set on the finals, and rightly so. Currently sat on an 83. Scores about to come in from the judges, and both Woodsy and I here in the commentary box have got us on the unofficial scorecard with an improvement on that 83. Can she push it up above 86.2 and claim the top spot?
Now, it is a really big deal that we are not judges. Like, we are very much on the overall impression side of things. Of course, the judges, they're going through those replays now. They're staring down the tiny little bits, the tiny little aspects that might affect that score. It felt great. That was a fantastic run as far as I was concerned. Whether she got that mute grab, you know, in the 720, that left side. Did she get that mute? Did she tickle it? Did she miss it altogether? They're the things that the judges are going through right now. They're obviously taking their time over this run. They'll be comparing it to her last run, Eileen's run. They're looking where they're going to put her in the rankings, and then they're going to hit her with a score.
Okay, well, the judges have access to the slow-mos, so they're making sure they get this one right. Even though it's just qualifying, they want to make sure that everyone is in the right positions. As Valerie pointed out there as well. Oh, there we go, 87.6! The call was on point. Valeria Demidova moves into first position ahead of Li Fanghui and Eileen Gu. Eileen Gu in unfamiliar territory now. Third
Being bumped
place.
down to third, that's a big deal. And that is a huge deal. I do remember Valeria Demidova from the last couple of years in the younger competitions, the Continental Cups coming up. I do remember she had a very good technique. She didn't have the tricks yet, but now she's bringing the tricks in with the solid technique, and that's the combination. That's why I was so excited about Li Fanghui's run, because she's got the technical ability. All she can do now is just add the tricks to it.
And that's critical, isn't it? If you're an aspiring free skier out there, whether you're going slope or half pipe, and this goes for snowboarding as well in slope and pipe, get your core techniques right, your takeoffs, your landings, the way you cut across the pipe, every element. If you've got the basics right, good technique will push you, will turbocharge you as you start progressing. It's definitely there for her, and as you say, the speed of the progression now could be immense.
Absolutely. Once you got your good foundations, you're going to start building houses and hotels, aren't you?
Skyscrapers.
Skyscrapers, exactly.
Okay, course on hold again now. You can see looking across the valley to the Pisa Range on the other side of Cadrona. There's a bit of cloud hanging around there. Sabrina Kakmakli, the unlucky skier, the German, now on the wait, but it looks like we can see the top of the pipe there. You can see the start gate hoving into view through the mist.
Sabrina's up next, and unfortunately for her on her first run, going down on the first hit, but she's starting it off with a big switch hit. You'll watch her here. She's carrying her speed and dropping in switch, which is one of the best feeling things you can do on skis as far as I'm concerned, because she matches that tranny perfectly. So hopefully she keeps up that aggression. Yeah, look, there we go. There's the switch dropping. She's starting it off big. It's a statement starting to run like that. Only a switch 3, whereas it was a switch 7 last run. So she's mellowed it out to complete this run. Back-to-back 5s after that first switch hit.
Carrying her speed nicely though.
Japan grab, getting it solid. You gotta hope she's gonna put some points on the board here. Nice 720, and that'll finish off that run.
So Sabrina Kakmakli currently in last place on a 6.2. That is definitely good enough for the top 8 in my eyes. Wu Meng, the young Chinese skier, just 16 years old, is currently on the bubble in 8th on a 64.6. They were lovely, the back-to-back 5s.
Yeah, they were very nice. I mean, the only thing I can really pick about that run is that she was tickling the grabs rather than getting them solid. The judges will dock her for that, and also, I think she had room for one more hit. Ooh, sorry,
So
Sabrina.
Sabrina, a fine effort after falling in your first run.
I'm really happy to land a run right now. It's been really nerve-wracking to crash first run and then stand up there and wait till the fog clears. So yeah, I'm really relieved that I landed one run right now.
Okay, Sabrina Kakmakli is going to be ruining the fact that she lost that first run then, because that first run would have been in perfect conditions. 75.6 for the German though, good enough for 6th position. Wu Meng, who does have a second run left, is now in 9th. Saori Suzuki, who's taken both of her runs, is on the bubble and has a very nervous wait. Okay, check it out. Yang Yujin of Korea. Sounds a little bit like Maddie Cox out here, the crazy Australian who's got 2 billion cubic litres of froth to spare.
Yeah, getting very hyped to the top, and it's so important. We did say that this is the professionalism of the sport coming in, but you can't lose the love of it. You know, they got the Korean guys, oh, that's a lovely 540 meter, but they got Pete Olenek at the top of them, one of the most core and important skiers in the game as far as creating this whole thing is concerned. Switch hit into the right side 5, down the pipe, a big left side 7. That was a nice way to finish a run.
And that's a really, really good point you make up at the top there, Woodsy. The fact that you don't just try and get, oh, yes, wow. you don't try and get just all of the technique in there. You try and get the stoke into these kids as well.
Oh, it's a hugely important thing when you think how competitive the game is now. I mean, there has always been money involved from sponsors, but now there's some real money involved. You know, there's the Olympics we're talking about. It's very easy to get sidetracked and get carried away with performance, and lose the love for it. And it doesn't look like she's doing that. It looks like she's having a good time.
Oh,
I'm
is she ever? So, 75.8. It's 1 point less than her first run score. So she will stay in 5th position. So next in, got the next of our Russians after Valeria Demidova. We've got Slavna Muntian.
It's her first World Cup, like you said before, and she landed her first run. It wasn't excellent, it wasn't amazing, but to put down your first run in your first World Cup, that's a huge deal. So we'll see her dusting off those cobwebs, and hopefully she'll be a bit more stoked and a bit more relaxed going into run 2.
She needs to improve by 12 points. So the amplitude looks like it's coming up a bit.
Back-to-back 5s. Alley-oop 180 now. There's the technical, everything back-to-back out of the way. Jumping a little bit early into that 360, but still managing to hold it into the switch down to pipe 3. I mean, that's solid. She's landed 2 runs out of 2 in her first World Cup in adverse conditions. She's just got to be happy.
That's a really good point, actually. I think it was possibly some of the hardest conditions we've seen, and she's kind of done pipe by numbers there, hasn't she? It's finding her way down. She's crawling through each of these and trying to time her jumps, and she did. I think it's on this one. She goes really early, jumps before the lip.
And that's where you can see the energy gets lost. You know, if you're patient, you use the whole transition, get to the top, that's when you start firing out the top of it. But you can hardly see the snow for the cloud right now.
57.6. So Slavna Muntian will not qualify.
Okay.
Looks like we're on a course hold though, so let's hear from Slavna.
Okay, the course might be on hold sometimes, but how's the pipe? Do you enjoy it?
Today is a very bad cloud, and pipe is very good. And good day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Slavna. She got a good chance to practice her English there. It's coming along nicely. But like she said, she backed up what you said at the beginning of the show, Woodsy. Pipes in perfect conditions, but as you can see, the sky is not quite as perfect.
But she kind of did say it all, really, in that interview. It's I always feel, you know, I commend them so much, because obviously, like, it's easy for us, you know. English is your first language, you know, and everything that's going on. We're in New Zealand, everyone's speaking English, all the organisers, you got a feel for the land, you know what I mean? Whereas these guys are coming, English is their second language. They're not just learning this competition, they're learning everything. It's amazing.
Yeah. When you, next time you compete in Krasnoyarsk, I can make it your goal to do the post-run interview in Russian. Okay, we've got things back underway, and it's Zhang Zizi of China. So another one of these brilliant development team athletes who are coming through, just 17 years old. Got 9th at the World Cup in the Secret Garden back in December 2018. Big first hit.
Well, that's certainly a statement, starting off with a straight air like that. Left side 5, right side 720 cork. Hold it together. Brilliant, brilliant. Switch into this next hit. A little bit of a flail, but she kept that amplitude. That's the technique that we're after. Right side 5. That sit down is not going to cut the mustard, unfortunately, though.
No, we saw Eileen Gu do almost exactly the same thing that Ziyi did there on a switch 3. It's a bit of a body wobble. She could have got away with that with the amount of amplitude she's got, but that's pretty big mistake.
Beautiful right side cork 7. That's a wonderful way. This is the big wobble in the run. You know, switch down the pipe, the hardest direction that you can spin in the pipe. Obviously, everybody's different.
You know what? She didn't put her bum down then.
Yeah, but it were a wobble, wasn't it? There's no getting away from it. The overall impression gets... You've got to be perfect in this game. Everybody's so good that if you show any signs, they're going to dock you.
Yeah, it's just an excuse the judges are looking for. Zi Zhang is out. Kexin Zhang, the sister, drops now, though. First run score of 80. Looks like she's qualifying fairly comfortably at the moment. Big right 7 to start.
My goodness, I love that. What a way to start the run. And then a switch down to pipe 5, switch to switch. Oh, again, switch to switch, switch to switch, and a switch 3. Now she's charging down into the lower section of this pipe. A massive 5. Wow, that was a good run.
Improvement on the 80, do you think?
Oh, I hate calling scores, but I've got to think that it is. That was a fantastic start. I mean, a highlight of her run on the first run was a big 5 in the middle, but all of that run was a highlight as far as I was concerned.
It's one element that we haven't really talked about. There's been a lot of fanfare about Eileen Gu signing for China as a Chinese citizen for Beijing 2022, but focus have been on Eileen, but what's it going to do for the rest of the Chinese team, having someone like Eileen to chase now? It's going to drag these guys up very, very quickly.
It absolutely is. I mean, just competing for spots in these events is so hard. And that is the challenge, the first challenge that everybody faces. So competing against your own nation is challenge number 1. And then once you get there, if you've got world-class people in your nation, you're already competing for the top spot before you're even in the competition.
Yeah, the US, it's self-fulfilling, isn't it? The US do it. You go to a US Grand Prix and the standard's the same as it would be at an Olympics almost. So for Kexin and Eileen, they can... It's worth noting, we get to see very, very little of the Chinese skiers and snowboarders. The odd World Cup, the odd competition here, but they're very selective about which competitions they do and how they do them. A lot of times they're just turning up either as part of a training program or to see how the level is around there. But it's not like they're smashing all the competitions, so you get to see them week in, week out.
We're lucky down here in New Zealand because we do see them each year. They use this event as a bit of a measure, and the progression's been incredible. I mean, I'm not even ashamed to say now that 2 years ago when they started coming in, it wasn't pretty. But now... it's pretty. Oh, it's pretty. It's pretty. It's pretty, Ed.
87 points, pretty. Zhang Kexin moves into second place, just behind Valeria Demidova, and just ahead of a fellow countrywoman, Li Fanghui, who is about to drop now.
Well, whether she got an eye on those scores before she dropped in, probably not. Probably not healthy for her to know that she's been bumped down a spot, but she's certainly going to come in with full force. A big 540 to start things off. That's a lovely way to start the run. Backing it up, left side 40. Japan firing through the flat bottom. 7, this is great. This is so smooth. Please hold it together. There's a beautiful switch down to pipe 5. Switch right side. Massive 540. That's good. She's got jazz hands going on. That's good.
She. That was lovely. If anything, we said it before, her feel for the pipe, the way she takes off and lands in the transition right at the top of the pipe, you see her meet there. She's got a really, really good technique in here.
She's quality pipe skier, absolutely. And what we're seeing right now, all right, they're the top. Wow, that was an amazing 720, wasn't it? And she holds her speed so well through these 2 switch 5s. In the hardest direction you can spin in the pipe, both ways. But we're seeing it. They are our top dogs in this field, but they did land quality first runs. And now they're chilling, they're enjoying it, they're putting up bigger scores even still.
Okay, Li Fanghui, just 16 years old. She got 3rd place at the Secret Garden World Cup back in December. And then she got 6th at the Junior World Championships here this time last year. But it looks like she's made some huge improvements. 90.2. We have another new leader. We've got a real game of hokey cokey going on at the top of the standings here in qualifying. Li Fanghui briefly unseated by first Valerie Demidova, but she's come back again and you can hear how much it means to her. Getting very, very hot at the top. Next in, Svea Irving, younger sister of Burke Irving. creating a little sibling dynasty of pipe in this Wells pipe, we should say, which is very fitting. You're going to see Burke skiing later on, but right now, Svea sat in 7th on a 73.8. She's going to want to improve that desperately.
540 to left side at 360. Down the pipe at 3. Lacking of amplitude, but she's got plenty of speed to make up for that. Big flare. Lots of speed coming into this, which is probably our last hit. 720. Very nice run. Very smooth. Not the amplitude, not quite the execution that we've seen from, I mean, the likes of our top quality runs of the day, but that is a good run.
It felt like maybe a little bit too little too late. That was an obvious weak spot there with the 3. The switch 3 she recovered, and then these 2 last hits, very strong.
Very strong way to finish things off, which is a great way to leave an impression in the judge's mind. However, coming straight after Lee's run,
yeah,
how's that going to do for the judges?
Okay, so she's 69.4. She's going to rely on that first run score of 73.8. And it's going to be a nervous wait for Svea Irving as it is for Saori Suzuki. Suzuki currently in 8th on a 70.4. Svea Irving currently in 7th on a 73.8. And there's still a lot of talent still to go. Wu Meng of China. She was just 14 when she competed at the Olympics in Korea. She is currently in 9th position. So her run has definitely got what it takes to push her up. But it's a 6-point gap between her best score of 64.6 and the bubble score of Saori Suzuki on a 70.4.
So it is a big jump that she needs. She does need to improve that run. It was a mellow first run, but she did land a beautiful 540 mute to start things off. She's certainly upping the ante already. Right side 540 mute. Left 720, no grab there, but getting a nice switch landing. Switch down the pipe 3 Japan. It's better than the first run so far. Alley-oop 180. Alley-oop 360, landing very high on that last hit there. It's a good technique. What are the judges going to do with it? I don't know. It was a mellow first run. I feel like that was a bit more aggressive, and I like that.
And the amplitude on the first hit especially, I think it was bigger than Saori Suzuki's first hit, and both of Saori Suzuki's first hits were straight airs. I feel like this has got to go into the 70s. If the judges are being consistent, this is a plus 70 score, and it's enough for qualification for me. Putting my reputation on the line.
No, I absolutely back what you're saying, man. I think it's good. And it is a big leap, but I think she did put in the effort for it.
Yeah, 100%. She moved out of her comfort zone. She definitely pushed quite hard there.
I love that last hit, how she just got a little nose tap on the coping. It's almost like skating, just tick, tick, dropping.
Ching, ching, dink. Okay, so let's run through these scores. Li Fangqi of China is leading on a 90.2. Valeria Demidova is in second, 87.6. And then it's Zhang Kexin on an 87. So very, very tight up there. 74.4. Wu Meng has moved in to 7th position, which means Saori Suzuki's nervous wait is over. She will not ski in the finals tomorrow. Now it's the turn of Svea Irving of the United States to get nervous. The bubble score is 73.8. Next in, Abby Harrigan of Australia.
You meant on the bubble, didn't you? Sorry,
Yeah.
I got all carried away. Abby Harrigan coming in right now. Lots to improve on her first run. There's a big first hit in her home half pipe. Japan grab into the other Japan grab. Come on, Abby, maintain that amplitude with these tricks. Left side 540. Pushing for speed. Alley 180.
She's cut too hard high up, hasn't she? She's killed all of the speed out of this run.
Finish it on a 3. Exactly right. At the angle that you take down the pipe is directly translated to the amount of speed you have and the amount of amplitude you can get. She started cutting up a bit too much.
And she's got it beautifully there on the first hit. And it's still there on the second hit, and that's where she cuts here. You see a speed check. You need to be driving through that. The moment you let those edges wash, the speed's gone. So woman from Jindabyne, Australia, 53.6. Slight improvement on her first run score, but it won't carry her above 15th position. Now back up to the top, and it's Anya Barrow from Cambridge, now living in Wanaka, got a 17th at the World Cup in Mammoth earlier in the year. Currently sat in 21st position, so in last. So she needs to step this up if she wants a shot at the finals.
And yet, exactly, needing to step up. Had a crash on the first run. She's got to come back from that. That's not just physical, that's mental game. 540, washing that out. That's just too small, to be honest with you. Left side 3, she's going to keep battling through this run. You can see her pumping for the speed in that fakie to air. Left side down pipe 3. She's still fighting for this run. She's going to put some points on the board, but it's not going to be enough to contest with our finalists at the moment.
Well, we've talked about it, valuable experience, but you can see her body language says it all there. She's disappointed with that one.
And you know what? That's okay. I'm glad to see that, because, you know, it proves the caliber of the competition, because that was not the run she wanted to do, but it's not all light-hearted anymore, you know? That's 2 runs that weren't to her liking, and she is disappointed. She will come back stronger.
Well, it's that idea, isn't it? You step up to the World Cup level, you know that the TV cameras are on you, and you know that there's James Woods probably, or someone like him in the commentary box, judging your run alongside all of the judges. So a lot more pressure, and something that Anya Barrow, while she hasn't maybe enjoyed today, she'll be able to use that experience moving forwards. So Anya Barrow moves up into 17th place for now. But Nanaho Kiriyama of Japan currently sat in 14th position on a 55.8. The bubble spot is 8th position, and she's going to need a 73.8. So big improvement needed from the Japanese.
Japan grab on the first hit, right side 5. It's smooth, it's small, but executed well. Left side at 360. See how she goes with switch, proving to the judges she can do switch as well. Straight air, pumping for the speed. A very aggressive pumping for the speed. 720 to finish things off.
Yeah. Nice steady run, but it didn't have. We've started to see that amplitude that we need for the top 8 spots. Wu Meng currently in 7th. Svea Irving in 8th position, probably the last of the skiers who didn't have consistent 5 to 7 foot airs all the way down. But really, you've got to be on that. So 52.2 won't best her first run score of 55.8. So Nanaho Kiriyama of Japan will stay in 14th position.
Judges are ready.
Yeah, you can hear the start marshal there, telling Rachel Anderson that the start marshals are ready now. We've had a lot of talk about Rachel Anderson being one of the dark horses in the field. She's been skiing under Cassie Sharp, the Olympic gold medalist, and a lot of people saying that technique and the level is rubbing off on her. She's got good visibility now. That was lovely.
Beautiful 5 start things off. It's this alley-oop 360 that she came unstuck with on the first run, but lacing it up now further down the pipe than she's been in this competition so far. Let's see what she's got. Right side 5, little back seat, holding her edges together. Not a problem. That was a really nice 7 that she backed up there.
Could have missed that last hit maybe, but some very good tech tricks and great amplitude from the off.
Yeah, great to see her finishing that run after a disappointing first run. It was that alley-oop 3, that's where she came unstuck, getting through it, switched down to part 3, beautiful way to link them up, and that...
The landing there nearly had her, didn't it? Nearly got tripped there.
I thought it was going to get her, but she executed a beautiful 720 at the bottom.
Okay, let's hear from Rachel.
Okay, Rachel, plenty of air at the top. You happy with that run?
Sorry?
Plenty of air at the top. You happy with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't land my right 5 very well at all. So I kind of had to fight for that last trick, but I landed, so got through the run. Stoked about that.
Okay, and well, she should be. What's your gut feeling, Woodsy? For me, that feels like an easy mid-70s run, if not high 70s.
Well, they will dock her. How much, I don't know, for the switch here and for that backseat 540 that she referenced in a little interview at the bottom there. They will be docked. And this is why the judges have such a hard job. Because not only do they have to nail who's winning second and third, they have to get it right all the way down the field. And that's when you're comparing a run that might be executed perfectly, but that run can't get over a 50 or a 60 because of technical difficulty. Whereas that run, a very technical run, but with some wobbles, where does that compare with someone that executed perfectly a mellow run? I don't know where that comes in.
Yeah, Sabrina Kakmakli and Wu Meng, both in that category. Solid execution, but low difficulty. You've got good amplitude here and solid difficulty, but the execution, as you say, suffered a little bit. And this is exactly the judges' discussion right now. We're probably mirroring it.
Absolutely, I do think we are. And it might not be who's going to get the gold medal, who's going to come second, who's going to get the glory, but these positions, these rankings, these scores that come in now, even in the midfield, they define an athlete's career. You know, this is the first World Cup of the season. It's going to go all season long, these results.
Oh, 65.8. It is not enough for Rachel Anderson. So she was sat on an 11, but she can only move up painfully close. 10th position. This is out on qualifying by 2 spots at the moment. So, difficult day for Rachel Anderson. Hasn't gone her way. Now it's the turn of her fellow countrywoman, though, Amy Fraser. Ready to drop. Currently sat in 13th position on a 57.2. The bubble is 73.8 for qualification to tomorrow's finals.
Big flare on the first I do think she has a caliber to get herself into that final. Back-to-back flare, but unfortunately not strong enough through that bottom, the flat bottom transition. You heard her shouting out in disappointment. That wasn't pain, that was just pure disappointment, unfortunately for Amy.
Okay, 2 Canadian skiers in these qualifiers, and both of them have missed out.
Unfortunately for Cassie Sharp, the spearhead of the women's halfpipe throughout the whole world, and of course in Canada as well, is having to sit this competition out. She came all the way down here to New Zealand and unfortunately took a little slam in practice, and she's down the bottom watching, so I'm sure she's gutted.
Okay, 9.6. The academic score there for Amy Fraser. So now we come to Daria Tatalina, third and final of the Russian athletes at the moment. Fellow countrywoman Valeria Demidova is in second place on an 87.6, so been a successful day for at least one of the Russians so far.
Now, Daria's first run, she was plagued with the cloud. She was the first athlete in the field that got really bad conditions, so didn't really get a clean run underneath her. She's got good conditions now. Let's see what she can do. A nice left side 360 to back up those straight airs. Switch, alley-oop 1, still switching the half pipe. It doesn't look like it's going away, to be honest with you. It's not ideal. There's a right side 360, I think. Polishing the run off, finishing it rather than completing it.
Yeah, for me, she maybe got a little bit lucky with the weather first go, because we can see really clearly now, and there was just no attack in that run for me. No attack.
And honestly, to hold it down with the top of the field right now, you need to be... These are the best in the world. They're going so hard. You need to be 100% committed.
Yeah, and you've got to be letting the skis run down the pipe, letting that speed build.
She did take a fall on the first run. Whether, you know, that knocked her off, and confidence, maybe a bit.
Now, dropping in Eileen Gu of China. She's in unfamiliar territory, which means 4th place. She's led from the start of each qualifying and finals in the slope and halfpipe so far here at the Winter Games. Is she going to step it up? She's left it at the 5 on the first hit.
Of course she's got that competitive attitude. She's on beautiful 540s up top, getting those grabs perfect. Right side 7, getting a grab, stepped up there. Left side, down the pipe 7, step up from the first round and a massive alley-oop 180 with a high safety to finish things off. That is just a stamp of approval from me.
Bigger and cleaner than the first run, so it's definitely oh.
That's what you call a Cuban. That's just right on the end of the opposite ski, leading the rotation. The grabs were clean on every single one of those hits. She landed high in the pipe. She ticks every single box. This is the only trick that switched down to pipe 7 that wasn't absolutely perfect.
Okay, let's hear from Eileen.
Eileen, 2 very solid runs. Happy with your form in what will be tomorrow's finals?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my runs. I took a bit of a slam a couple of days ago, actually, so I had 30 minutes of practice yesterday, and obviously practice this morning, so I was happy I was able to put a run down, make it through to finals, and hopefully I'm feeling a bit better tomorrow so that I can do a bigger run. Yeah.
Thanks, Eileen.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. So currently sat on an 84.8, and we've already established that it's going to be a bigger score. How much bigger is the question? Second place is 87.6, third is 87. The top spot is 90.2. I think she could be.
Follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, I'd say she's definitely fine for that top spot. Whether it's going to be first, second, maybe third as well. Don't know. Scores coming in.
89.2 for Eileen Gu. So she's just 1 point behind Li Fanghui, her fellow countrywoman, now that she's changed citizenship, in second position. So she will not drop last. Liu Mengting of China. Another one of this very, very impressive field of skiers that's come down to the Southern Hemisphere to train. Gives you a glimpse of what we can expect in Beijing in 3 years, because they're stepping up.
Nice one, but not sporting the red jacket, which I'm almost disappointed with now. But beautiful back-to-back fives. It was her first run. We saw her utilize the entire length of the half pipe, which I was very impressed with on that first run. There's a 360 coming in, switch, down to pipe 3, and look at that. Nah, this is not going to be as good as run 1, simply because she missed out a bottom hit. And the fact that she put it in on the first run, beautiful 5 there, the fact that she put that extra hit on in the first run means that something went wrong in run 2.
Yeah, let's have a look at this, see if there's a giveaway. Straight there, third hit. Maybe the 3, just not giving her quite as much as she wanted.
Still 2 solid runs in the books, and that's got to feel good. You know, we are watching the top dogs coming down, and it's easy to compare, but these guys are putting in their first World Cup appearances. It's a good thing to remember.
100%, just 15 years old. So she's got good consistency there, though. 56.2 first run, 52 for the second. So a lot to take away. It's a positive. Next in bib number 14, Riley Jacobs. Looked like she had a really nice run, but she got really skanked by the weather on her first run. So clear pipe now. Let's see what she can do.
Yeah, great sig, a good opportunity in with a break in the weather. There's a right side 540 lead safety, left side 5, lacking for a grab, but getting it clean, plenty of speed. Right side at 720, again lacking for a grab, but clean as you like. Fakey to air. Byron Wells on the on-hill mic calling it a pop-tart. I've never heard that before. And a nice mute grab on the bottom hit.
Pop-tart's the snowboard name.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
I like it.
So you have air to fakey is the opposite, and then when you fakey to forwards, it's a pop-tart.
Ooh, you can see that takeoff when we saw that in the slow motion replay, that it's very, very icy on that on those walls, and you saw her slipping out. She didn't actually hold her whole line into that trick. So impressive that she managed to hold on to that, second of the 2 540s, and continue that run.
I love that big cowboy grab on the last hit. In skateboarding, you call that stinky, when you really push your knees out. But the idea
Definitely a personal touch on that one. That was wild.
Okay.
I've never seen a mute grab like that.
Well, Riley Gibbs out of Steamboat Springs, Colorado. That's where she plies her trade usually. 5th of the Junior World Champs earlier in the year. But you're in the big leagues now, Riley. It's time to see what the World Cup scores look like. She sat in last place on a 9 from that first run score. So looking for a jump into the top 8. I don't think it's going to be quite there, but who am I to judge? 73.8 is the score she's looking to beat.
Irving's nervous right now.
Working through the scores.
Svea Irving currently in 8th.
Horrible position to be in, sit on that bubble. Because all you want to do today is make finals. That's the mission. You want to make finals. It doesn't really matter where you get to. You just want to land a run, get into finals, and have the opportunity to step up on finals day. And being sat on that bubble spot is such a horrible feeling because it's out of your hands now.
And Svea Irving will know that because there's 2 more skiers still to drop after this, and both of them feel like Hannah Faulhaber maybe has it, the other American. Isabel Hansen, not too far off the pace in 11th on a 61. So again, the judges taking their time with Riley Jacobs. 60.6. So way better than her first run score, and it pushes her up into 12th. So respectable score there for qualifying, but not quite enough for the finals. Now it's the turn of Isabel Hansen. As we've seen, the Flatlanders are doing better and better year on year. The Dutch, the Belgians, and the Brits. The snow domes are paying off.
Absolutely, Isabel, she's got the skills to make it into this final. All she has to do is lace it up clean and keep her amplitude up. Well, there's a big knee grab to start things off. Taking us back to the first run, beautiful. There's even bigger from the alley-oop 180 Japan. A nice 540. Now this is where she likes the amplitude when she puts in the big tricks. Left side, so right side to left side 540s. There's the right side 720. She's got to be clean. She's got to hold it. It was clean. There wasn't the grabs down the bottom. How that's gonna compare to Svea Irving's score? It's going to be close is what it is, because that was a very clean run.
Well, she's burned a bit of time in the vault with that straight air on the first hit, but she went huge on the second one.
One
but
of the
as
highest
you said, as the technicality comes up, so the amplitude drops.
And right now, the judge's job today, whether this is, oh no, there's a catch at the coping. We didn't see that in real time. I'm afraid that's my call. If I was a judge, that was the thing that's just going to scrub that run, and it has.
They've punished her brutally for that. 56.2. The first run score is what counts, and unfortunately that will be left wanting. 11th place for Isabel Hansen. Okay, back up to the top, and it's our last skier to drop in the women's qualifiers ahead of tomorrow's finals. And there is an incredible incentive to make tomorrow's finals for the young American, Hannah Faulhaber.
Well, it's going to be one American in this final, but which one's it going to be?
Yeah, right now, Svea Irving is on the bubble in 8th place with the 73.8.
Now, she had a brilliant first run. It was a nice 540 up top. There it is again. Oh, it's not as clean as the first run, but this is where she went down on run 1. Doesn't go down this time. She gets the opportunity to finish off this run.
But she's speed checked.
Yeah, you can't be losing speed like that, exactly. But she's holding on to it. Alley-oops back to back. She's not happy with it. Unfortunately, that's going to be the day for Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah Faulhaber unfortunately couldn't make that one count. She had 2 really nice early hits, but then the speed check, it was unnecessary. If she'd have gone in hot and really rolled the dice on that one, then she could have been reaching up to the top spot. But I'd say Svea Irving, if she's been watching these last runs and had a good look at the scores, then she'll know, well, I imagine she's hoping, 99% sure, that she's going to make it through here.
And it's exactly decisions like that in the moment. That's trusting yourself, like not putting that speed check in, letting the skis run and allowing yourself to get that huge amplitude. That is when these action sports turn into extreme sports. And that's what's so scary, you know? And that's part of it, because you're under the lights, you're in front of the TV, you got to do your tricks as well as get the amplitude. bringing it all together is the thing that these young competitors are learning, and they get the opportunity because they are so good to learn it on the world stage.
The most valuable lesson she's going to learn is in that car ride on the way down today when she's racked with regret. Why didn't I send it? Why did I speed check? You only need 2 or 3 of those kind of car rides to remind you that you need to send it. When it comes in, when you've got a score on the board or when the chips are down in its last run, send it. Go for it. You've got nothing to lose except a regretful car ride down the mountain.
Well, exactly.
And no one wants to keep that. I don't want that. You can have that anytime. So
still a nervous wait for the score because you still don't know. And like I mentioned earlier, the scores that come through now, the positions that these guys get, okay, she might not be battling for the top spots right now, but whatever position she comes in, that's equivalent to the points that she's going to get, that she's going to carry through the whole season. These young competitors, they're going to improve drastically throughout a season. You know, she might be one of the top dogs by the time we get to April, and the result that she gets now, the points that she receives, are going to carry her through.
Okay, it's 58 points when the score finally comes in for Hannah Faulhaber, which means it's good enough for 14th place. We have our results confirmed. Lots of change up at the top, but it was Lee Fan Kui who managed to cement her position there at the end of the second run, closely followed by Eileen Gu, her resurgence in the second run. Valeria Demidova, the Russian, rounds out the top 3, but Kexin Zhang and Yang Yujin, very, very impressive. Svea Irving holds the top 8. Disappointment for Rachel Anderson, Riley Gibbs, Isabel Hansen, and as we saw at the end there, Hannah Faulhaber. But pretty impressive skiing, and as we see, Woodsy, the level just going through the roof year on year with women's halfpipe skiing.
Absolutely. Across the board, the talent's getting unbelievably high. It's brilliant to see, and to be honest, seeing the quality of the girls, and we're missing a couple of the top dogs. We are. They're not here. Not everybody is here right now. There are. Cassie Sharp stood at the bottom. She took a slam earlier on, so it's opened up the gateway for some of these girls to get on that podium, to get that confidence that is going to drag them through their career.
Okay, well, you heard it here first from Woodsy, a.k.a. James Woods, the Freeski world champion 3 times and reigning, I should say. Both Woodsy and I will be back in 40 minutes' time at 11:55 local New Zealand time for the men's qualifying. We have a stacked field, make no mistake. They're going to be throwing down in this half pipe at 11:55 p.m. Please come and join us.